I don't know, what the situation is, but they're going through the thing you do before you get married. And tonight was the night, and when he asked to get off, the priest told him no. So we told him we'd excuse him, and we tried to do this for him. So he handed my wife his stuff in his pocket, so it's all kind of rainy. So we're going to try to get through this, and Coach Shea's going to help me out. If these guys will come up, Jacob Barnes, John Gentry, Charles Keening, Keith Knapp, Kelton Cruzcamp, Chad Ludwig, Daniel Reckers, Scott Scooter, give me a break, Dustin Smith, and Howard Vance. Scudder. These guys are to receive their freshman bars. Okay, Coach also has 2 awards. The number one, his first award is the Hustle Award, and that goes to Keith Knapp. He's not here. And then Coach chose to have an MVP on his team, and he thought this person really stood out and did a great job for him. And I know even at the next levels, we're really looking forward to him. I'm going to say something about him in just a little bit. But at this level, it's Howard Vance. Turns around and goes, "Coach, that's Howie, 2 years. I said, yeah, all right. But it is. Howard wants it done so bad. Ron Wilson did too. It took him a couple years. He finally did it. By the way, speaking of Ryan, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Ryan coming out of our program, I know it's not the night to recognize him, but Ryan was voted the Freshman Player of the Year in his region in the NAIA. So that's something nice for Ryan. We introduced him to the kids and try to make him feel big. Okay, let me start by thanking people also. I'd like to thank the Board of Education always for giving us the opportunity to renew our contracts and let us coach and teach, and Mr. Molly and Mr. Reeman and Mr. Mulligan and parents and cheerleaders and all the families and the coaches' families and everybody that's always on the road with us. And it really is unusual to give, this is the 4th school I've taught in and coached in 25 years, and it's really unusual to see an athletic director that travels to all your away games, even to Birmingham, Alabama with you, and we really do appreciate that. He does a lot of neat stuff for us. Also, both my coaches, even though Coach Brock stood us up tonight, we still like him. And Coach Shea's always there. We have a great time together. Had a great time outside, and it's kind of fun seeing Coach and when his wife hurts in different places because she's 4.5 months pregnant, and now I can still remember how that felt, believe it or not. But now I can just laugh at him when they get all worried. And he calls and, "Coach, she's got a hurt here," and I say, "Yeah, just don't worry about it. Go away." About 9 months, and she didn't like that either. But and really the real reason she's not here tonight is because remember last year he made fun of her for painting the door and the walls and stuff when he came, and it was a mess. She knew he was going to say something about her pregnancy, so she just stayed at home. That's the real reason. Coach had me something all nicely planned out, but I actually stayed after school and wrote it my own, so I'm probably going to get totally confused here. But let me go ahead and start with the introduction of the varsity players and say a little bit about them and bring them all up, and then we've got some special awards to give. Also, there's also a bet, if you remember last year, I get kind of frustrated and emotional at times, so there's a bet on how long I last without getting choked up. So I'm going to win the bet and try not to do that so I don't interrupt your son's name and say him in the wrong time, even though I really do that a lot anyway. But the first person we want to recognize, I guess, starting to be that fabulous freshman. His head, he won't be able to go to bed tonight after all this stuff. But we'd like to first bring up Howard Vance. Howard truly was one of the most improved players that we had this year as far as our young players. He's really a lot of fun to coach too. There's never a dull moment with Howard, and you never know what he's going to say. You can't read all the notes. And I really think he's going to have a great future as a juggernaut, and we're really excited to see him come along the way he did. And he's going to take the place of Jimmy Fox next year, and hopefully get in there with Mike. A couple other people probably think they're going to do that too, so that'd be really nice. A lot of competition for the inside spot. So Howard was dressed varsity. We brought him up. Next person, coach has already said something about his shot, and I'm going to say something about his shot again. He needs to shoot the basketball, probably one of our most pure shooters on the team. Next year, he's just going to have to pull the trigger and shoot the rock, and that's Brent Corbin. Next person is one of the hardest workers in our program, and I get excited about defense because, like Coach Suter, I could play defense and couldn't play much offense because I couldn't shoot very well. So I always like the defensive players. This person works hard every day and truly helped Mike Quinn to go get beat up by everybody else on the court, and he was prepared because Austin Vogt did a great job of doing that in practice. This next person, hope he's going to hit the weights over the summer and really muscle up a lot. I really think he's going to be a go-to guy next year. He has a great soft touch around the basket. And I've had other coaches come up and say, Coach, even during the district against Dixie, one of the referees came up and said, man, I haven't seen that kid play very much this year. He has a great soft touch. And he does, and work on his defense over the summer, and I think we're going to see a lot of good things from Drew Sullivan. Let me see if I can think of something to say. Ms. Hopkins, you may have to help me out on this one. Last night, Ms. Hopkins and I were at a banquet for coaches with Mike, and I told her I was having trouble finding something to say about Mike, so she told me she'd help me out. And she's probably going to help me out even more with Myron. But Myron's a sophomore. I'll tell you what, he's fun to coach. He's never dull. He's always got something to say. It may not be what you want to hear. But I think Myron is going to figure into the success of our season next year. He's hard-nosed. He plays hard. I think he's also going to be a great running back for us here at Lloyd. And it's always good to have him around for a laugh. And not only that, he really does play hard, and he does it with not a lot of stuff. So, Myron, come on up on the stage. Myron told me at the beginning of the year, he said, Coach, I'd perform a lot better if you just quit hollering at me. So I'm always trying to be really nice to Myron and welcome him up on the stage. And you're doing great. Looking good tonight, too. This next guy, if you've been around me long enough, I love the big blue Wildcats, and ever since I was a little kid. And this next guy, I started calling him Prince in practice because his demeanor and the way he walks on the court just reminds me of Prince, Kentucky. And I think that's a compliment. I don't know whether he ever took it as that or not, but I think he's got the same attitude. I actually think he's got the talent to be that kind of player, too. I think he's got a lot of potential. I just don't think he realizes the potential he has yet, but when he does realize that, I think he's going to be a great player, and that's Kenny Hollenkamp. He's got the walk. Looks just like him. All right. This next guy's a great young man. He's a junior. He played JV for us this year to really work on his skills. He really came along. He played some tough minutes from us in the tournament at Christmas. He stepped in, really brought us back when we were down. He did a super job, played moments for us, really works hard. I don't think you find a kid with more guts and savvy than this young man. And next year, as a senior, he will definitely step in and help us. He's going to have to really be able to play inside and outside and adjust. And one thing about, I think next year he's going to have to step up and be almost a designated rebounder, and that's Kyle Holbrook. This next person is a junior. He really began to shoot the rock at the end of the year. He struggled at the beginning of the year. He shot about 17%. we just kept getting on him and telling him he had to shoot. Well, I'd take him out of the games, and he wouldn't shoot. So I said, well, if you don't start shooting, you're just going to come and sit over next to me. So I did that a lot. And then he finally started to shoot. Ended up finishing the year at 35% from three-point range. Next year, he's going to have to really shoot the ball for us and not be afraid to shoot that rock and put it in. I think he could be one of the better shooters in the region, and that's Brett Mullins. And let me make an apology for Brett because he's at an ACT class studying. You hope anyway, right? This nuts young man had the privilege of being able to say some nice things about him last night. He didn't like what I said about him, but I'm going to say it again. This guy's got the nicest smile of any young man I've ever met in my life. I don't think he ever gets mad about anything. And last night he was trying to hold that smile back when he walked up. Everybody couldn't do it. And he got back and said, Coach, I can't believe you said that in front of all these people. But he does have a great smile. But no, he's a great person, great human being. And he averaged 16.4 points a game, 6.78 rebounds. In his career already, he has scored 837 points as a juggernaut. Next year, he said he only needed 167 points last night and wanted to know if everything was going to go to him next year when he got his 1,000 points first few games. I told him absolutely not, and Myron just seconded that. But we'd like to introduce Michael Hopkins. Just can't help himself. He loves the game. This next guy battled a bunch of injuries and came up back in the summer after camp, and he said, Coach, you're not going to believe this. I got to have knee surgery, and I've got this tore, and I've got that tore. And I said, you got to be kidding me. He says, no. And he said, the bad thing is I know football's out. I'm pretty sure basketball's out. And there's some question if I'm going to run track and high jump. And if you know Al's a great high jumper here at Lloyd. And he talked about it. He said, but if I get a chance to come back, can I just come out and work out? And I said, sure, Al, you can come out and work out. So he came out and looked pretty good and worked pretty hard. And I said, Al, what's the point of just coming and working out the last 4 weeks? And why don't you just dress? He said, would you let me do that? I said, yeah, I want you to do that. So he came out, played with us, finished up his senior year by being able to dress. He played since the 7th, 8th grade. And so he actually got to play his 12th grade year, overcame the injuries. And that takes a lot of courage to come out there, coming right off and not being able to work out. First couple of days, he sucked some air, but after that, he was right back to form. Hard worker, he sure didn't want to get in his way. Alan Kelly. All right, he's just trying to win a bet. He's trying to make it hard. This next guy was a great surprise. A year ago, he was probably about 5'6". And then over summer, he came into practice. I'd ask him who he was. He started to look a whole lot like his dad, at about 6'4". And it was a really nice surprise, and just a great surprise for us this year. I can't go on enough about that. But he's also a fine young man, good character, great student. We put him inside, and he got knocked around a whole lot this year. And I wrote in my notes, I don't think there's a game or a day of practice that Jim went home without bruises. And if you've ever seen him, he bruises easy too. But he had a ton of them, and he did a great job, and that's Jimmy Fox. With information, little sayings and records and CDs for pre-game stuff too. He's good at that too. Also, I had Al and Jim and this next person as 8th graders too, so this is 5 years. This next guy's been around a long time. We had a coach ask us this year at the game, he said, are you guys paying this guy to stay at Lloyd? And I said, no, I don't think so. And he said, well, I could have swore he should have graduated 2 years ago. He's been around as long as Lloyd. And I said, what do you mean? He said, how long has he been playing? I said, well, he's been playing for me for 5 years, and he's been a point guard for 5 years. And he said, well, surely he's got to be a senior. And I said, well, not if we could help it. If we can do anything, we'd like to keep him around, but we can't. He had a great career. He went from not shooting the basketball to becoming our shooter this year.